Committee, Water District for Thursday, April 11th, 2024 at 3 p.m. at the district office in the upper conference room. Is there any public comment?
No, sir.
All right, let's dive right into it. Items for discussion. Number 1, district headquarters ADA bathroom update discussion.
So before we get started on this, a little bit of background. Our new employee. So, because both directors on this committee were actually not at the board meeting that this came up. So originally, the district actually budgeted for a full bathroom remodel for the public facing bathrooms. Later on during that process, it was discovered that there was also an ADA compliance issue with those bathrooms that came up. So during the presentation, it was presented as an ADA compliance issue, which was incorrect by staff, because the staff that ended up presenting it, they inherited the project, didn't have the full history. When asked by board members why this project, because I believe, and we'll get the numbers, it was over $100-something thousand, $120,000, $130,000 for the
125.
125, thank you. $125,000 for the remodel, when it didn't make sense that just the ADA compliance was going to cost the district 125. So we came back at a subsequent board meeting during the GM update to indicate that originally it was a bathroom remodel, but there's the ADA component. The board, with the quorum of 3 at the time, asked us to relook at the options to save money of what it would be to do just an ADA remodel. With that, staff has moved forward with that, and today at the engineering committee, we're going to present. And Eric, are you going to present this? And before I hand it off to Eric, one more thing. It was kind of awkward because the board actually authorized the execution of the agreement with the contractor for the $125,000. But then in subsequent, additional items requested, asked staff to relook at it. So we do have kind of a timing issue, as the contract, the bid is only good for 60 days or so. I don't know when that timing ends. And obviously, if we end up going with something else, it'd be another process of getting the bids.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, Eric.
Okay. Well, yeah. Took my first part for me.
Oh, I apologize.
But good afternoon, Engineering and Equipment Committee. We're here to revisit the ADA restroom remodels, as General Manager Gumpel said. And again, apologies for the original board meeting if you were there. I didn't have the capability at the time or the knowledge of the project, or in-depth knowledge of the project, to be able to answer the board's questions and sway the concerns at the time. So apologies. And so hopefully here we can work forward or move forward with an option presented here. So first I wanted to bring up and show the board a few of the ADA compliance issues that are present in both the men's and the women's restrooms. And if you remember from the original meeting on board, there was the issue of the inch. And it is actually an inch. When the building was designed, it was designed within specs for ADA compliance, but when it was built an inch too short or an inch too narrow for a lot of compliance issues. So starting with the men's room, here we can see this is what is called the clear space in front of the entryway. This space from wall to wall is supposed to be 60 inches, and it is only 59 inches. And then going into the accessible toilet, which is inside the men's room as well. Again, from partition to the edge of the tile here, it is supposed to be 60 inches as well. And that is 58 inches. And the 60 inches is for turn space, for wheelchairs, and the feet to be able to sweep around without hitting anything. And then on as well, which I don't have a picture here, but the urinal in this restroom, it is not 18 inches from the center of the urinal, is not 18 inches from the closest partition. So that would need to be adjusted to be able to bring that little section into compliance. All right, moving on to the women's. Okay, so again, the issues are pretty similar for the women's. The clearance space in the entranceway is only 59 inches, and it needs to be 60. And again, the spacing from the tile to the women's partition here is only 59
It looks like
inches.
they rough framed into the dimension.
Probably.
Let's just rip the travel off and stuff.
Well, one of the things too is a little bit of the backstory is when O&M took over facilities maintenance, Steve Klein, who's the maintenance services supervisor, he was talking to an engineering firm and then a contractor about this, and they warned us that there's a group of lawyers going around with a tape measure, and they're going to especially the public agencies, and then they sue. And so that's why it went from just a remodel.
They settle for 10 or 20,000.
Right, exactly, and so we went from just a remodel to, oh wow, we need to fix all these things, but unfortunately it means moving some walls.
Okay, so those are a few of the compliance issues for the restrooms, and now we'll get into the options. So this is the option that was presented to the board during the March meeting. And this is the full remodel and ADA compliance all in one. This is the one where we were asking for the board to award construction contract to EMH Construction in the amount of $125,000 for the full remodel of both bathrooms. So some of the work that they will be doing, where's my mouse? Okay. Actually, some of the work that is proposed in the full remodel, obviously you'd be taking out pretty much everything all the way to the studs. There's the partition wall right here, or this entranceway wall. When you walk in the door, this would be removed and brought back 40 inches. And then where'd it go? There it is. And then the current entranceway, this would be removed and be open, and the door would be moved out to the lobby way, or to the hallway to the lobby right here. On top of that, the sink, this counter space, will be removed from there and brought over to this wall, as you'll see on the next slide. And then also that brings up another point, that both sinks are supposed to be top of height. The top of the sink to the floor is only supposed to be 34 inches. These are at 34 and a half.
Another thing we found.
Yeah. Yes. So
It was fine until they put the tile in.
yeah.
It's the sinks sit on top of the counter instead of being at flush.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's just one thing after another, and just kind of cascaded as we went through.
So and then where'd it go? Okay. And then also, obviously relocating the partitions to allow for that 60 inches clear space, relocating the urinal to allow the 18 inches from center to either partition edge. And then in the remodel work, it would be, let me go to the next one. Here it is. This is what it will look like. It'll be all new tiles, new flooring, new lighting, new partitions, new toilets, new sinks, counters.
So it's a full remodel.
Right, correct. And as you can see here, that wall has been removed, or will be removed, and then the door is moved out again to the hallway here. And I didn't show the women's remodel because they're almost identical. I didn't want to have too many slides here and too much going on. But if you want, I just have it hidden, and you can bring it up if you're curious.
And these are strictly public restrooms. There's other restrooms available for employees and everybody else here. These are strictly those two in the foyer for public.
Correct.
So
The other
that
ones in the building are ADA compliant.
I am honestly not sure on that question.
But even there's a different statute, especially if we have somebody who needs that, we'll have to definitely make sure accommodations. However, with the public restrooms, there's a perception of it needs to be compliant for anybody in the public.
Right. So that was the full remodel option, the one that was presented to the board, and I did a bad job of presenting.
That wasn't your fault. I'm telling you that. No, it wasn't.
Okay, so here's option one. We went back to our architect and asked for a few other cost-effective options to remodel, or not remodel, but to bring the bathrooms into ADA compliance only. Not remodeling, trying to reuse everything we possibly can to save on cost and bring it down. Okay, so the first option here excuse me for all the words and the busyness of it, but try to get it all into one. So the first option here would be leaving the grab bars and all the tile on this side. We would be moving the existing partition over a couple inches to account for the 60 inches clear, relocating the urinal a couple inches to account for the 18 inches on either side. And then this the sink and the counter would be lowered to be within, lowered a half inch to be within that 34 inches.
And trimmed a little bit, right? Because
Correct.
as we move everything over a few inches, so it'll just be a little less counter space.
Correct. There it is. As you can see, this wall, unlike the first option, or not the first option, but the full remodel, this wall will remain. And then to make this section compliant in this option, since this space is short currently, our architect has it moving back about 3 inches to bring the whole wall back right there, about 3 inches wall and doorway. That way, when you measure it, you have your full 60 inches clear. But that will require saw cutting into the foundation and the floor and trying to and installing a new threshold and trying to save as much existing tile on the floor as possible. That way we can reuse it to help patch pieces from moving that wall back. That does bring up a little bit of an issue though, because that tile, if it breaks, they don't make it anymore. You can't find it anywhere.
I don't know how you can reuse floor tile.
You'd be pretty
It's hard.
talented to
It's-
pop it out
Yeah,
without destroying it, yeah,
breaking it.
which is our concern.
Yeah.
It's not gonna look good.
And that's kind of how the full remodel came about, was he was, giving us a cookie. You need to do one thing, then that's going to leave other patchwork areas, and you need to keep catching up. So this was the first option presented by our architect for the men's room, option 1, the cheapest option, and the estimated construction cost on this one is $23,000.
That's for both men's and women's?
This is for the
Just for
men's
one.
only.
Men's only. So we're talking 45, 55.
I have it on another slide here. Jumping ahead.
So
Don't steal his thunder.
Jumping ahead. Okay. So we're going to go through both options for the men's and then both options for the women's, and then we'll compare the two at the end.
Women are more expensive. Oh, this sucks.
Okay. All right. So with this option, again, we'd be moving the partition, the existing partition, and reusing it a couple inches to allow for that 60 inches. We'd be removing the urinal to allow for the 18 inches on either side, and the sinks would be lowering them a half inch to bring it within that 34-inch limit. This wall would stay, but unlike the previous option, option number 1, the cheaper one, this door would be removed, and the frame would be removed, and it would become almost like an archway, a passway through. And then the door there would be a new wall located right here. And then the door would be moved out here into the hallway as with the original full remodel design. And what that would do is the 60 inches clearance, where's it go? And what that would do is the 60 inches clearance is for the swing radius right here. And so the 60 inches it'll be into the open space in the hallway right there. So there's plenty of room. This option would cost $28,000, because that's the estimated cost.
And one of the benefits of this option is now you don't have to worry about the floor tiles and, as far as that goes, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So what he was proposing here was removing the floor tiles and adding a marble threshold.
Yeah.
Right there to cover up that space. Okay. So moving on to the women's. Let's keep this pin on me. Okay, so the women's, again, just like the men's, we'd bring the partition over a couple inches to make for that 60-inch clearance. The sink for this one, the sink and counter space for this one as well, will be dropped below that 34-inch limit. And just like on the previous, for the men's option 1, we'd move the wall back into the restroom a few inches to account for the 60-inch clearance in the entryway. And again, we're using tiles and baseboards and everything we possibly can to save. And just like in the men's option 2, I'm sorry, I skipped the cost on that one. The women's restroom is estimated to come in at $19,700. Okay, and so just like the men's option number 2, we'd be moving the partition over, and all of that, just like in the previous options, except we would be putting the door out in the hallway, as with option number 2. And again, this would become almost an archway with a marble threshold to bridge the gap. And this option is estimated to cost $28,000. Okay. So here are the pros and cons of each option that were presented to us, or to everybody. So the full remodel is the one that was taken to the board, and that was $125,000 bid by our contractor, EMH Construction, or by the contractor, I should say. Pros of that one are it's a fully updated restroom, it's fully brought within ADA standards. Cons of that one, it is the most expensive, and it will involve the longest disruption to customers. Option number 1, which was our least costly option, that's one of the pros, and it has the shortest construction time. Cons of that are the patchwork will be noticeable at the entrance floor. The contractors will obviously do their best, but we cannot guarantee that the tile's gonna not break. And on that, the old tile, if it does break, that will cause sourcing issues and matching the current existing tile. So there may be some tile that doesn't look quite right. Then option 2, again, it's more cost effective than the original full remodel at $56,000 for both bathrooms. The patchwork would be less noticeable than option 1, and again, it would still less of a disruption than the full remodel, but more of a disruption than option 2, or option 1, I mean. And the cons of this one is that the door opens with a traveled path for people walking down the hallway. It has a longer disruption than option 1. It's more costly, and again, the tile issue and reusing some of the materials.
And one of the things I want to point out is the $125,000 of bid cost. Option 1, option 2 is an estimate.
Correct.
So we don't really know the real cost. I mean, it's an estimate, or it should be somewhere close to that, but it could be $10,000 higher, maybe $15,000 higher, based on the bid environment.
Depending on how much of the actual material lasts during demo.
So the full was an actual bid.
Correct.
And so if we picked one of the others, would you rebid it?
Well, my
have to.
hope is we go out to the existing contractor that won the bid and
That's what
do
I'm
a
wondering.
deductive change order. They have the option and the right to say no, and then we'd have to rebid it. The rebidding
After that.
process itself would cost probably about $3,000 to $5,000 in staff time to rebid it, to get it out and ready and rebid it. If we get the contractor to agree to negotiate a price, even if it's higher than the estimates, considering the staff time and the effort and the timing, it'd probably be worth it. There's no guarantee it'll say yes, and as I mentioned in the beginning, we have a clock running on that $125,000.
Mhm.
So,
And I have spoken with the contractor, and emailed back and forth with them, and let them know the process we were going through. Obviously, they were disappointed when the initial notification that we needed to research some other options, right?
yeah.
But they understood, and they've stuck by us, and they're, to my knowledge and to what they've said, they want to continue with the district and work with us on this project. But obviously, it has to be kind of worth their time at the same time.
Is it something we've used in the past and continue to use?
No, this is the first time using the contractor, EMH Construction.
EMH?
EMH.
Are they local?
I believe so. I believe they're local North County. They've done mostly house bathroom remodels. They're trying to get their foot in the door with the counties and the cities, and we were kind of the first ones to bring them on board. And as I mentioned during the original board meeting, their original board kit was at 138,000. Their initial bid was at 138,000. But when we added up their line items, it came out to 125 because they made a bit of a mistake on the math. Oops. And then when we pointed that out to them, they said they'd honored 125. So it was, to this point, they've been responsive and pleasant to work with. So
It's hard to find building contractors like the Public Works, we've kind of gone through this before, it's especially, projects of this size.
Mhm.
It's really hard.
Well, I'd be supportive of option two, and
Go back to the options, yeah.
at least it's worth a try, I think, going back to the contract.
Because I have a question for the committee, if you go back to the contractor, the contractor agrees to the price on option two, the staff could bring it obviously back to the board for award, and long as it's anywhere close to that number, it's gonna be something, because that number is kind of a litmus test on, based on our architect, it should be somewhere in that range. If the,
Or we could take all three options back to the board, it doesn't matter to me, but.
yeah, well, I'm also concerned about the timing, if you
Yeah.
give too many, if you give too many options to the board, we might spend too much time going over it. So, but if the committee in general is in favor for it, we could definitely give it that try. Now, if they say no to option two, does the committee even want to look at going forward option one, or is it definitely, let's go out to bid with option two if he says no? That's kind of the question I have for the committee.
What's your opinion?
Well, if we're not gonna do the full remodel, option two would be my choice, because it will look better than option one. Option one will look patchwork.
Yeah,
It'll
it's
look
not
like
that
we
much
did it
more.
in-house.
It's pretty close in price.
So it's between, for you, I mean, you prefer to do the full, but if not, option two.
Correct.
And that's,
Same to
I've
me.
seen a lot of nodding.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely we were discussing this project for the last year with Glenn and making sure, because he was confident that the board would want to do the full remodel because of the public sees this. And there was a lot of debate before the board approved it, but then it became an issue of the cost.
I mean, the public sees it, but how many times is that toilet flush in a month?
It's not widely used, but it's
I mean,
sporadically
why,
used and-
once a day?
Well,
If that.
the board members see it, which is another reason, because you
I've
guys
been in
use it,
there-
right?
I've been here 3 years, I've been in there twice.
Well, it was Glenn's concern
So
that
that's
if
two
we
flushes.
patchworked
That's two
it,
flushes.
if we patchwork, it would be
Probably
a
only did one.
black eye to the board because the public uses
I mean, it still looks great. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying common sense
it.
wise.
I mean,
It looks.
the
it looks-
ADA compliant is the biggest reason,
Right.
otherwise we just, this project's been kicked down the road 6-7 years.
And that's what I'm saying. We're spending, $20K just talking about it. So I'm in agreement. I mean, I like option two myself. I can't see spending an extra 75 more than a remodel to satisfy ADA. And I'm good with just moving forward with it as well with option two. I mean, again, just common sense wise, it looks good. I know we're not gonna have the exact color on the tile. I don't see anybody in there with it, looking down at the tile. They're gonna go in there looking at something else that's on the wall. So just common sense wise, I mean, I know it's not much, but 75K is 75K to satisfy ADA and to get a good restroom, and it'll last for another 20 years, I'm guessing. That seems like my recommended option.
Okay, so staff will move forward option two. And what I'm hearing, I just want confirmation from the committee. If the contractor is not willing to give us a price on option two, then staff will then go out to bid with option two. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, because we'll have to go back up to bid if the contractor says, no, we don't want to bid on that.
And this is a contractor that would love to work with us, has not worked with us, and is
Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance
looking
he'll
to
give
get
it
in
a
his foot in the
price.
door.
There's a good chance he's give it a price, and that price may be higher than 56,000, but even if they're willing to come anywhere close to that number, my recommendation would be to award it. Because just the effort of going out to bid and testing the market right now in this bid environment, they could come in at $85,000-$90,000. I could also come in lower too, but right now we're not seeing bid prices
How
come low.
many bids did you get?
Three.
Yeah, I think it was three.
bids, one of them.
Oh, I'm on the wrong computer, sorry.
I was gonna say, wait a minute.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Do you have it in your notes on
I
that?
have it here.
You don't want, you don't want.
I've seen his
that.
finish work.
He's not finished. Slow.
He's good
I'm
at demo.
slow. It'll look pretty, but it might take a while.
It was 3 bids originally.
But if you drag this out,
Yeah, what was the range?
The range, they were by far the lowest by $50,000.
By far.
Wow.
Yeah, the highest one came in at 230.
I mean, we're talking what, 10 by 12? I mean, it's
Yeah.
100, we're talking 300 square feet of remodel space.
Yeah, it's prevailing wage, there's a lot of little
It's expensive.
finish work,
Yeah.
finish work's always expensive, it's small volume, you're always gonna pay more.
So my concern just is that I agree, let's go with option 2. My concern is if we go out to the bid environment, it may come in at 90,000 or
One bid,
$100,000. At that point, once we go with option 2, we have one opportunity to go with option 1 if we can't get the contract to give us a bid. As soon as we go out to bid with option 2, we are releasing that contractor, and then we are at the mercy of whatever the bid environment is. So, in the ideal world, we go to existing EMS, EMH, we go to EMH, we ask for a price, we give them all the information, we be very transparent about it. They give us a decent price that's anywhere close to that 56,000, we're done.
You could always ask for price for both options from them, just to.
Yeah, but I think
Give
from what I hear, we don't wanna live with the patchwork, so. Then if they say no, then we have a decision point. We either do the full remodel, because we have them technically under bid contract, not under the contract, but under bid in their bid bond. Or we go out to bid with option 2 and we release them. What I'm afraid of is coming back to the board a month later, saying, we got bid for option 2, it came in at $110,000. So that's what I'm afraid, because these bids went up to 200,000. So but I do
While you're
see,
responding to their request to bring it back,
Yeah.
something cheaper option, so
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to do.
yeah, I want to save real money. It's more,
It's like $800 a square foot.
Yeah.
And once you move that wall, you're moving everything, and that's it just cascades, because then you're busting out the tile, you gotta replace the tile. I mean, we even had Glenn pick the tile. We were like making sure, I kept telling Steve, go up and talk to Glenn, show him the tile, show him this. Everything was, through Glenn, because obviously we want to make sure we're doing what the board would want.
And this is what we've seen in the past with this type of work here at the district. It's just, it's public work, it's
Small job.
it's small job, prices are high. And Crew Builders was the third bidder, and they were in, what was their price?
Crew Builders was 230. Camp Constructors was 184.
There you go.
And Camp Constructors has been our
Crew
lowest bidder
Builders did the last
many times.
work for us, so they've worked for us. So they know us, so
When they bid that, they just don't want the job.
they wanna make money.
Yeah, they probably assumed that.
A lot.
And we know how the housing market is and work is.
I'm
so-
almost like, well, if they don't give us a good price on option 2, just go with the full remodel. I mean, by the time you try to bid it, the danger of getting one single bid after, you're probably there anyway.
We'll find out if they'll be working with us at this point on option
if the
2.
committee is supportive of that, the board has actually already authorized the $125,000.
Right.
So, but option 2, I think, is worth an effort.
Yeah.
And then again, if the committee is supportive of that, then, and obviously reports out on that, then we could do exactly that. Go for that 56,000, even or close. If we get it, come back to the full board with the new number. If not, award for 125.
And we have enough.
Hesitantly agree.
You hesitantly
Nothing-
agree to
nothing-
a full remodel.
We have enough from Dan.
It's hard to say no, but that's it.
Ours is design.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
it.
reach out to them now.
It's kind of what we're doing too.
No, I don't want to do it. I guess we have to.
Right, so with committee support, we'll go ahead and explore option 2 with the existing contractor. Hope to find that resolution. As a fallback, if that doesn't work, we'll go ahead and award the full remodel for 125.
I think the committee's recommendation.
Cautious, reluctant recommendation. I got the head nods. It'll be noticed, noted as such.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks for the presentation
Yeah.
and your work. Sorry for my tardiness.
Just kept me in suspense.
Sorry.
Anticlimactic, I'm sorry.
All right, we're done with that item. We'll go on to item number 2, land outfall sewer parallel section A project update.
Yeah, so we want to take this opportunity to talk about one of the largest projects in our CIP budget coming up. And Director Elthorpe of the Finance Committee already got to hear all about this, so you'll hear it twice, unfortunately.
No problem.
Yeah, and it's a perfect segue from bathrooms to the outfall, so.
Yes.
But no, this is for information only, so no actions required for the committee, it's just a project update, and yes, I apologize, there's gonna be some repeat from the finance committee on
No worries.
Tuesday, so you go to the next slide. You gonna drive for me, just wanna make sure, we're okay. Then I gotta get up the top. I don't need some solutions. So just a little bit of background on the land outfall, so you can see here from lift station 1 all the way to the Encina treatment plant, it's about 7-8 miles long. It was installed in 1986, although a small piece of it was replaced in 2006. Ranges in size from 24-inch to about 54-inch, and that's the piece that goes under the I-5 freeway. Ranges in material, PVC, ductile, clay, Hobos, which is a fiberglass material, so it's quite the hodgepodge of materials. We got a project on the books. This particular project has been on the books since 2008. And in 2000, that project is to look at this outfall for renewal replacement based on capacity issues, really looking at future capacity issues. This project is in the master plan. It looks for replacement, particularly in this section in the 2021 to 2030 range. So we did a study in 2011 to look at what it was going to be. We did an alignment study, we're looking at odor, we're looking at cost, all that. But with the recession, with the drought, priorities, staffing, and because it's a master plan project in the future, hasn't really moved at all as far as spending, significant money and moving the ball. But that was until last year, 2023. So in 2023, you may recall, over the summer in August, we hired GEI to be our project manager, just based on the workload that Ryan and his team had, not being able to move the ball. We wanted to try something different, bring in a consultant to help us manage this project, and it is a massive project. So let me go to the next slide. So what this project is, sorry, go back to the graphic. So this particular project that we hired GEI to manage is to put together a preliminary design report for the entire alignment. And that's going to give us basically a 10% design on again, alignment studies and all those, and then really focus, because as you see, the name is the section A, is focus on this section A, which this is about a 18,000 foot siphon, pressurized siphon line. And what we're looking at is putting a parallel line in here. And then we've got a short piece there that's a gravity portion. We're looking at upsizing that. So that's what the section A is. So you can go to the next photo or next slide. So this is the project that we have on the books, and that's what we're moving forward with. Again, it's the PDR for the entire alignment, which includes an alignment study, survey, hydraulic analysis, some geotechnical, and of course that will be high levels, 10% design, right? So we're not digging too far into the weeds, but we need that hydraulic component really to move forward with the bulk of the project, which is that 30% design for section A. That section A, 100% responsibility costs are on the district. And the lower sections, which is from El Camino West to the treatment plant, we have shared capacity with Carlsbad and Buena. So, I guess that's good news. Good news is there's some reimbursements there. Bad news is there's a lot more coordination, which we're very familiar with. So the reason we have this project in the master plan, obviously for growth, because it's we're anticipating more flows. And like I said, the grab DA is in that 20 to 25, and then the siphon portion is in 26 to 30. So we're right there in that zone to actually do this project. But more importantly, if you hit just hit the button, you'll see this wonderful video. The real reason we need this project is because that is the upstream manhole at the top of the siphon.
Giving me flashbacks, man.
Thank
PTSD.
Hey, turn around.
And thank you for Allison for finding this video, because video says 1,000 words, right? And what you're seeing is, and what we've been seeing is, especially in these wet weather events, is sewer spills, and that is a sewer spill in SSO. And since 2019, we've had over 200,000 gallons released from the siphon at the top end. Thankfully, no fines.
That same one or?
Same one.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the split between replacement and capacity?
It's 100% capacity.
It's
For the portion A,
Yeah,
yeah, it's about 100%.
it's all.
Because it's a parallel, right?
It's all capacity.
It's all capacity, yeah, because we don't have capacity. So it's 100%. So good news, that's developer funded, right? It's funded through cap fees.
So it won't hit our operations funds, which would go to our ratepayers,
Correct.
customers.
So there's no other money available, funding as far as like grants or anything like that?
Good question. Go to the next slide. So as far as project costs, and this is the sticker shock, and that's why we kind of wanted to bring it to you, is that as I mentioned, we've hired GI to do that work. This is a snapshot from the budget page that was presented to the Finance Committee on Tuesday. It's $51.8 million. So, and that's kind of it's a shock, right? But if you break it down, we've already spent about 270,000 with GEI and existing staff and what we're projecting through the end of the year. And then moving into next year, moving into a design phase, we're looking at, you can see the design phase is kind of stretched out over 2-3 years. And then the big construction dollar hits out in 2027, 2030. We have looked at, and we've had GI look at grant opportunities. Unfortunately, there's no real grants. This doesn't fall into those buckets because it's always paired with affordable housing, low income type stuff, environmental enhancement type features. We definitely are available for some low interest federal loans. But this is something, especially when we get to the big construction dollars, where our team will have to work very closely with Wes on strategies.
So, and Director Panic, one of the good news, bad news, is when you have a project that's funded by capacity, by growth, the bad news is the granting type agencies look at it and say, well, this is being caused by growth, it's being funded by growth, it's not hitting your ratepayers, not hitting low income people anyway. So, and if you don't take care of it, you're just gonna get fined. So you're motivated to take care of it no matter what, or else you're gonna get environmental fines for all your spills. That's the bad news of that from a granting standpoint. The good news of it is we have a funding source from developer growth that doesn't hurt our ratepayers.
So not to get into the weeds as well, but from a developer's point of view, I'm a developer, what's a current permit rate going in and what's that gonna change it to? Am I paying per unit, and what's the per unit cost gonna change
Yeah,
from?
so currently
Roughly.
for sewer capital facility fee, it's about 16,500 per EU.
Mhm.
This would probably drive it, and I'm pretty close because we're looking at a potential
You know the
increase right now
Mhm.
for that we'll be bringing to the board. That we're actually just had a meeting with the BIA yesterday to fund a project that was around 26 million. And it was about 77% capacity, and that increase was about 3,500. So if you're now looking at a 51,
Well, it's the delta, because the project's already in the master plan.
correct,
So
you're
it's a
right.
delta, so it'd probably
Yes.
be another $35,000 to
Yeah.
$4,000.
Yeah,
About 20,000.
So they're going from 16 to 20.
Yeah.
Roughly.
yeah.
they'll go to 60 to 20 to the Twin Oaks, and then they'll go from 20 to 24 with this.
So that's the dollars and cents. As far as the schedule goes, like I mentioned, we've had GEI on board, and I just want to report out that we're very happy with their performance. They are under budget as far as their contract, and we've got an RFP out. They did a lot of pre-positioning with firms. We got 4 firms to submit. 2 have been selected to move on to the next stage. So later this month, we'll interview those 2 firms and make a selection, and then bring that to the board for an award. So I want to give you that heads up that the plan is to bring that selected firm in June to the full board for an award. And that's going to be that pretty big design fee. And I'm going to say it's in the $2 to $4 million range. And we'll be negotiating that, but that's where it's looking. And then, of course, as soon as the board, or hopefully the board would approve, and then we would move on to a kickoff and begin that design phase. And that's with keeping GEI on board to help manage that design from obviously working with staff. And then and then moving on to the construction in 2027. But again, there's a lot of positioning that needs to have, and working with Wes and funding, and of course that has to happen all in advance of that. And that's the project. Those are the project needs, cost, schedule, and then any questions you have. And again, this is informational. We just wanted to give you that heads up that this is where we're headed, and this is why.
I mean, this is what, 40, 50-year pipe?
No, it's a 75 to 100 year. Oh, no, existing age or something. Existing age?
No, replacement.
Oh, after it's replaced, it'd be a 75 plus year pipe. So the existing pipe was put in 80.
Right.
86, 85, 86. Yeah.
This one would be a 75.
The fiberglass section, is that the piece that goes under I-5?
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually a 48-inch sleeve and the 54-inch
Mhm.
line.
Yeah. And so, and just for side information, we're currently working on a contract to do some cleaning and rehab for that, and Eric's leading that effort for that reach under the freeway, the piece that comes out into Encina, and then a good stretch upstream of that. That's really our most vulnerable section. That's really showing a lot of grit, a lot of debris, and we need to do some spot repairs and stuff. So we're working with Carlsbad and Buena. Again, there's going to be reimbursement costs for that, but we're working with them to get the permits and get that out the bid. Hopefully this summer we can do that work, because we have to do it during low flow. We have to do it all at night. If not, we have to push it to the following summer.
Yeah,
So-
committee members may remember we had a presentation by Hoke Consultants at the time, and they showed that sonar graph and then estimated underneath the freeway. There's tons and tons of material that need to be removed, and not pounds, tons and tons of material. So that's going to be quite an undertaking. So, and a lot of coordination.
And this construction cost includes road work, everything.
Yeah, so this construction cost, it's an estimate, and it's based on having some conversations with a few consultant firms. Hey, that were basically, bidding on this project, the design fee. Hey, what do you guys see? What is this? Give us a range, and this is what we have, is that range. So could go up, could go down. Prices never seem to go down, but we don't have a price.
But when they give you a price, it includes, that's all.
This is an estimate, but through this design process, then they'll really start drilling into those estimates and those costs, and how much pavement replacement.
Right.
What's that factor of safety, because now we're working in an easement, and there's a lot of environmental concerns and costs associated with this project as well.
What's the construction later than on an annual basis legally?
Well, I mean, normally we use like 4%, but
It was almost 90%
9.
last year.
Yeah.
And there was 1 year that was 11%.
yeah,
so.
and I'll be honest, when all these prices started getting crazy, which I want to say was COVID, we started seeing, I saw engineers were giving us this 35% market contingency, and I thought, you guys are crazy. They were hitting the mark.
So I have a
Prices
debate
were coming
slash
in
argument.
that high.
I have a debate slash argument with Jason about costs, and he says, I'm so out of touch in costs. I'm so much removed, living upstairs now, don't even talk to me about costs.
That should cost $300 a foot. I'm like, back in 2015 it was.
I'm on that same floor with you.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jim. You and I could drink our water and soak
But
it
when we
in.
talk about cars, I struggle too. I can't believe it costs $50,000 for a car. My mind still says it should cost $12,000.
Just go do
Yeah,
some
so,
grocery
so
shopping.
one of the things that is gonna be on the docket for us is updating our master plan, updating our cap fee study. This is independent of what we're doing on the Twin Oaks Valley to accommodate and try and catch up with all these cost escalators. Cause the cost escalators are higher than the E&R, the engineering news record. The actual bid prices come in, so we wanna make sure we collect the monies while we still have significant growth left. So, but that'll be fun in 2025. Or six.
Great presentations. Thanks, everybody. I think we're out of the agenda. So,
Yeah.
With that, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Ready.
Thank you all.
Yeah, these are